Hello friends, Jim Bunch here, and I want to do a quick video for you because of two things. Number one, I want to share with you a concept that I shared with some entrepreneurs last night and got just amazing, thought-provoking feedback from. And number two, I want to share something that is coming up in my life which is super exciting, a little bit of scary, but really powerful. And I hope that you stay tuned here and listen, because the first part where I want to talk to you about is your evolution. Now, most people, when they talk about achieving goals, right? Let's say that you want to buy a house, or you want to build a company, or you want to, find your soulmate or whatever. It's a goal. It's something that you want to accomplish in your life, or something you want to attain or acquire. Well, I've been teaching people for years that the purpose of a goal is not just to attain or acquire something, it's actually to evolve you. In other words, think about the goals that you've accomplished in your life, the really big goals. Didn't you have to change the way that you think in order to achieve that goal? Didn't you have to change the way that you feel? When I think back over the last 5 decades of my life, and I'm at that point where I'm looking at 5 decades of my life, so I don't measure it just in years anymore, I measure it in decades. And I look at how I've evolved over those decades. Things transform. The way I think has transformed, my body has transformed, my relationships have transformed, every part of my life. And I want to take you down a little journey here to see how are you doing life by design or life by default, and are you planning your own evolution? Now, let me go macro for a moment here. This universe that we're operating in at one time didn't exist. And according to Big Bang Theory, right, everything collided and boom, the universe heated up to this massive extreme temperature. Things were flying everywhere. And when they started to cool down, they went through 3 phases. As the universe started to cool down, it started to take shape. It started to take form. And then our solar systems, our galaxies, our planets, the comets, the meteorites, everything began to evolve into what we know it as today. And we're still in this constant state of evolution. I mean, look at what's happening, not just in our solar system, but look at the planet itself, planet Earth. We are in a state of evolution. We're in a state of transformation right now. And what about your life, right? You can't expect that the universe is going to evolve, the planets are going to evolve, but that you don't evolve. Aren't you evolving? Haven't you evolved over the last 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years? I know I have. Well, I've been teaching this concept of the 9 environments of you for about 15 years. And it's been very powerful, this concept that if you want to change, your environments have to change, because your environments shape you, they mold you, they form you, right? And a lot of your success in life is based on your environments. Well, now I'm starting to share with people that the environments have to evolve in order for you to evolve. And so I want to challenge you to take a moment and think back over your life over the last 10 years. Think back over the last 20 years and ask yourself, have you evolved? And if so, what is it that's caused your evolution? All right, so I'm going to take you down a little memory lane here. So I'm going to sit down and just have a quick conversation with you. But I started thinking back to the first 2 decades of my life. I was mostly in school. That was my environment. And I went to University of Florida. I was pre-med. And while I was in school, I was introduced to a person. Now, here's my first key point. Think back to the biggest changes or transformations in your life. Number one, did it involve a person? In other words, did someone introduce you to a different way to think? Did they introduce you to another person? Did they introduce you to a job? So when I look back over my life, I realize that most of my true transformation happened because someone introduced me to some unique new environment, okay? So when I look at my transformation through college, someone who worked with me at UPS introduced me to a nutrition multi-level product, right? And that product got me interested in this concept of freedom and personal growth. Then shortly thereafter, after I graduated college and I thought, oh, I'm going to go do this network marketing thing for the rest of my life. I was in my early 20s, right? I started realizing that what I was really interested in was the growth that came from that. Well, by serendipity or by the universe or by whatever, I met somebody on a tennis court who introduced me to another person and introduced me to Tony Robbins. Okay? Now you talk about the universe having its own destiny or own plan. I believe that that's true. So this person by the name of Chip introduced me to Greg and Greg Rex, and Greg introduced me to Tony Robbins. Now Greg Rex and I have been best friends. He was actually best man at my wedding for many, many years now. And we've been business partners. We've done multiple businesses. We were roommates for a while. But he introduced me to Tony Robbins, which introduced me as an environment, right, to a whole new set of belief systems, to a whole new way to think. Because my first 2 decades of my life, I grew up in a small town, not really the success mecca of the world. It was a small town in Florida. Great people, great values, great life. I grew up playing in the woods and running and doing all that. But that shaped and formed. I did a lot of sports. That shaped and formed my beliefs about what was possible. All right? My definition of success was watching Miami Vice. I don't know if you remember Crockett and Tubbs racing the Ferraris down the streets and, you know, those exotic homes and busting the drug dealers. That's what I thought the world was. And then when I met Greg and Tony Robbins, I started traveling. I spent a year in Canada, you know, teaching and traveling. We built and sold live events for Tony Robbins, and he'd come in and do the show. And man, I thought that this is what it takes to change your life. I thought seminars and personal development and books and tapes, that was going to do it. And well, you know, it was making a difference on me in the way that I thought and felt. But what I didn't know is I didn't really understand this piece on the environments. I didn't understand that the environments that were having the biggest impact were Greg and Tony and the materials and all the people I was meeting in all these different cities. Okay, now, how is this relevant to you? I want you to go back and I want you to map out your life. I want you to look at the people and the pivot points that you've had that have changed the course of your direction forever. That was one of my big ones, right? Shortly thereafter that, I went to work with Bob Proctor and John Assaraf. And I moved to Kansas City from Canada. And that environmental shift was a big impact on my life. Now, how did I meet Bob Proctor? Interesting enough, there was a phone call that came into the Tony Robbins office that a friend of mine, Cherie, took. They asked Cherie if they had anybody there at our Robbins group that could teach them how to sell events. And Cherie said, well, Jim Bunch just left. He happens to be in Toronto, Canada right now. Why don't I connect you with him? Well, Bob Proctor was in Toronto, Canada. We met serendipitously, and Bob and John and Mark Meyerdirk and Jeff Smith and Murray Smith and I went and built a company called Life Success Institute. So again, another pivot. And I went from being on a bunch of seminar stages to working with high-end entrepreneurs and teaching them how to build their companies through mentoring. Now, I was head of sales, so I talked to these people every day. I also started to notice something else. I started noticing that the people who would come to the masterminds and the live events, they were having more success than the people who were just coming to seminars. Why? I didn't know at the time. I discovered it later when I met Thomas Leonard and he introduced me to the environments. Because I asked Thomas, I said, Thomas, why is it so many people want to change their life? They want to get their bodies in better shape, right? They want to get rid of the fat. They want to get a six-pack abs. You know, why is it so many people want to start a successful business and get financially free and build passive income streams, but they struggle over and over again, even in my own life, right? And after a little while, he shared with me, he goes, Jim, the reason that most people don't succeed in life is they don't understand the power of their environments. You see, your environments are dictating all the results you get in your life. I still didn't fully get it at that time. I didn't fully understand everything that he was trying to communicate to me. But here's my point. You've had people, which are environments, introduce you to maybe a new business, or maybe a new opportunity, or maybe a relationship, right? How did you meet your significant other? Did someone introduce you? When I met my wife 15 years ago, it was because John Assaraf, we had just taken the company public. John was out buying everybody at the restaurant drinks and celebrating. I wasn't there, but John met my now wife, Michelle, and he introduced us 2 weeks later, right? So when you start to think about the shifts that you made, the really big shifts in your life, and you can write these down, do them by decade. Do 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and if you're above that, 40 to 50, 50 to 60, 60 to 70, 70 to 80, 80 to 90, whatever it is. And no matter what your age is now, I want you to go back and ask yourself, how have my biggest shifts come in life? Where did they come from? Was it an idea that then changed your life? Was it a person that changed your life? Well, the reason that I started doing this introspection and the reason I'm shooting this video is I believe that all of us are in a state of evolution, and that our soul's purpose is to evolve. It's to transform. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is by the people you associate with and the environments you put yourself in. And I am going through an evolution. You see, a little over 12 years ago, I realized that books and tapes and seminars weren't changing people. So I started the coaching company called The Ultimate Game of Life. And for the last 12 years, we have been perfecting what I believe is the most transformational program in the world. And by the way, I'm not here to pitch you on The Ultimate Game. You probably already know about it because you're in here. But me taking on that vision, that idea, over the course of the last 12 years, we have built a series of programs, right? We built 28-day challenges, 24-hour challenges, 28-day challenges, 90-day challenges, mastery year-long programs, ultimate life coach certifications, and we've even been licensing our stuff to other countries and other languages. We've helped over 15,000 people in over 55 countries transform their wealth, their health, and their happiness. And we can document it. We can prove that our clients are getting results. So that idea, that concept, that books and tapes and seminars are great, but if you can't track it, if you can't prove it, then you can't say that it really works. That led me down a 12-year journey. Well, 4 years ago, I found myself in another part of the world with some other people. And being in that other part of the world woke me up to something that I never knew the impact it would have on me. As a matter of fact, it's been growing, it's been developing. And right now, after 4 years, I have a major shift that's happening in my life. And pretty soon, I want to introduce you to 2 more videos. In the next couple of days, I'm going to take you on a beach walk, right? And I want to talk to you about what might be one of the most exciting things, and I definitely know is one of the most important things I've ever done in my business career. Now, I don't want to bore you with the details of my business career, but I've had some pretty exciting things I've been involved with. Obviously, the Ultimate Game for 12 years. I was also involved in a groundbreaking company called Bamboo.com, which is now known as Internet Pictures Corp, or iPix. They brought the little virtual tours to real estate, right? And I got a phone call from John Ashraf, who said, hey, we're going to go build this thing called the virtual tours in 1999. I had no idea what a virtual tour was. Well, literally, what it was at the time was you'd put a camera on a tripod like this, spin it around, and the guys thought, well, if we could take that and throw it up on the internet, you could see inside of a home and do a 360-degree virtual tour. Well, that company grew from 6 employees to 1,500 employees in 1 year and went public on the NASDAQ in 9 months. It was a halo company. It was an incredible experience. Why? Because one person, John Ashraf, gave me an invitation. Now, at the time, I had moved from, living in the bomb shelter. Many of you know my bomb shelter story, where for a year I lived in a bomb shelter. I was financially broke, mentally and emotionally broke, and spiritually broke. And I moved from the bomb shelter to the beach house. I was driving a Porsche, I was wearing a Rolex, I was having a great time, I was spiritual, I was meditating and yoga and all this kind of stuff, and I built my coaching practice, and then I built the Ultimate Game. I got a phone call from one person who said, hey, we're gonna go change the world. And it changed the direction of me forever. Well, that's what I want to share with you, and I've got something that's super exciting. The next video I'm going to shoot with you, I'm going to take you a little deeper into that, because if you're at a place in your life where you realize that your environments evolve you, and it's possible for you to create the life that you want, but you need an environment that's going to inspire you, I want to send you on an invitation, because this is something that I realized I couldn't create inside the Ultimate Game. I'm actually going to move into a new position in the Ultimate Game. I'll talk about that on the next video. But I have taken a position inside of a company that we had to start because it's so huge that we believe that it has to be on its own. It had to be independent of the Ultimate Game. So I'm excited about it. I hope that you're maybe getting a little flavor from my excitement. And in the next 24 to 48 hours, I'm going to shoot another video on the beach. And I want to share with you what I think is going to be something that will be an incredible environment to potentially transform your life, all of your friends' life, and everybody around the planet. This is truly something that is going to fulfill on a vision and mission that I've had for years, which is to impact billions of people. I think it's the most important thing we can do on the planet right now, and I'm going to give you an invitation and a sneak preview of what's coming down the pipe, because pretty soon we're going to open this up to the world. But I wanted my friends and my followers at The Ultimate Game to be the first to hear this. So I hope that intrigues you. Make sure you watch video number 2, and I'll look forward to connecting with you soon. This is Jim Bunch, founder of The Ultimate Game of Life, saying until we connect again, have fun, and remember, it's your choice to create your ultimate life. Bye for now.